Alright, welcome back. Today we'll be building the Sinanju, the mobile suit piloted by Full Frontal in Gundam Unicorn, and we'll try to make it viable in PvP. And this time around, I want to make it more challenging, so I took a mostly unused weapon and built something around it. For this one, it's going to be the container missile launchers. Okay, jumping to the parts. For the arms, I picked the Melander C3 for its high armor specialization to help in getting in more hits with the primary weapon we'll be using, the 66 LRB. I know I said in the previous video that lasers kinda suck, but I wasn't ready to give up on it yet. This time, to make the laser rifle work, I picked the container missile launchers as my stagger build-up weapon. No one really uses this weapon, and most people probably dismissed it after seeing different tier lists saying that it's kinda useless. I'm not sure how extensive they tested this or if the context here is that if you use more than one brain cell, it's a terrible weapon, but I'd say in the proper hands, the container missile launcher is pretty decent. And the proper way to use this is to fire at an open space above your target before moving into a position which would put their back against the missiles so they wouldn't see them coming once it spreads out. Pretty easy to do if you're using soft lock, but if you're playing with hard lock, you could wait for people to jump before firing so the containers are positioned above them. Just to make sure you don't fire it downwards because the containers would hit the ground and explode, and you're a sitting duck the entire time since it takes 12 seconds to reload. If you're having a hard time imagining how this weapon works, it's probably best to think of them like laser drones, but instead of drones, you have missiles. Anyway, what I liked about this weapon is that they have a pretty high impact and accumulative impact damage, so they do a decent job of reducing your opponent's aggression. I'm not sure if shooting the container missile launcher triggers the warning system, but it's a fairly decent option for burning quick boost since people would try to dodge whenever you fire it, well, most of the time. This gives you some time to chip away with the rifle by either rapid fire or charge shot before they close in on you. If they don't dodge and try to tank it, most people would get hit by the missiles, which is pretty great in building the stagger meter. If they do manage to get close, and trust me, they will, you can try to completely stagger them with a melee weapon. In this build, I switched it up between the sword and the dagger. The sword worked pretty great for medium range builds, trying to get a melee hit, while the dagger worked better when I started fighting hyper aggressive builds. Overall, the Melander C3 is pretty useful for what we're going for this build since it covers the stats we need. The LRV is pretty much a slow firing weapon, so the recoil control on the arms doesn't really matter that much. For the legs, I chose the HAL 826 not only because it's the most Gundam looking legs, but because it has the best looking leg with the highest attitude stability. For the core, it's the Mind Alpha since it's the most Sinanju looking core in the game. Pretty average attitude stability, ranking 7 out of the 16 cores, but the core is top 5 in generator output and generator supply adjustment, which helps a lot with the build's energy recovery. These are pretty important stats since this build uses VE20B for the energy firearm specialization, which gives up the massive energy capacity and recovery provided by the NGI-000. Now, I know the build only has one energy rifle, so the specialization is not fully utilized, but I think it's still appropriate since you won't be firing a lot with the build, so you better make each charge shot matter. A fully charged shot of the LRB hits about 3000 on average, so you only need to land about 4 shots to kill someone, and the ACS doesn't really get in the way for laser rifles. For the boosters, it's going to be NGI-001 for the quick boost speed, range, and reload time. The VE20V generator is not strong enough to sustain flight for evasion, so the build's primary evasive action is quick boosting on the ground. For the FCS, it's going to be WLT-001 for the 50 close range assist, so the build is not totally useless in close quarter combat, and the medium range assist to support the energy rifle. Alright, that's it for the build. Now let's jump into some PvP action and see how it goes. First fight is against a lightweight build, not fully meta but uses a pretty strong loadout, dual needle guns, a Toreno, and pulse blade. For this fight, I started off passively and waited for him to come closer. I fired the container missiles here since he's already in flight. Quick boosted to the right, so he's turned against the missiles, though he managed to correct his position. Then I fucked up here since I shot the container missiles downward, so I just ended up creating some space between us. We clashed. I used my assault armor since I thought a rifle shot could kill him here, but unfortunately he didn't, so he countered me with his own assault armor, followed by a rushdown. It's a pretty close fight, and I could have won if I was charging my laser rifle. Next round, I opened pretty strongly. I landed a basic rifle shot, which generated a decent impact damage, fired the container missiles, and I tried to close in with the pulse blade. I managed to stagger him, but unfortunately, everything is on cooldown and I ran out of juice for assault boosting and kicking. Tried another swing at him, but he uses his assault armor here, which caught me. I countered him with mine and killed him with a charged laser shot after. Round 3 started pretty slow since I was waiting for him to jump so I could launch the container missiles. He jumps here, so I launch the missiles and he rushes in since I think he thought I missed the shot, so we clash with melee swings. I tried to be patient here and created some more space. He got impatient and jumped, so I launched the missiles again. Got in some impact damage and some cheap HP damage while I was recovering from the stagger, and I'm fairly confident that he's out of energy here, so when he jumps, I just blasted him with a fully charged laser shot. Boom, easy. GG. Next fight is a more melee focused build. A melee laser shotgun, shoulder laser shotgun, laser lance, and a pulse cannon. Again, I started the round passively and I waited for him to come closer. I launched the container missiles right when he jumps, and I followed this up with a charged laser shot, which I fully missed even when I was fully locked on and well within the ideal range. Okay, so I continue playing my game here by being patient and creating more space. He charges in when he thought I missed the container missile, and we clashed, and I ended up winning the exchange since I staggered him with a fully charged laser shot. Tried to follow up with a melee, but I missed. I backed up since I can't really do much at this range, but he jumps, so I launch another set of missile containers. We clashed again and he got fully staggered by the missiles, but the laser rifle is on cooldown, so I backed up again. He rushes in and I try to counter here, and somehow I dealt a decent chunk of impact damage and he didn't stagger me completely, so a fully charged laser shot ended the fight here. Round 2, he tries to Unga Bunga and go full on aggression, but I still managed to launch the container missiles before he's totally up in my face. The missiles came back and almost fully staggered him. Tried to swing here but missed again unfortunately. Fortunately though, it's enough to scare him and get him off my back. He went Unga Bunga again with the laser lance, but this time my pulse blade didn't miss, so he got fully staggered here and ended up eating the missiles and a fully charged laser shot. Got a little impatient, so launched the container missiles. He tried to rush in again with the laser lance, but completely missed. I just ended him with my pulse blade. And for the last match, let's quickly look at how a dagger performed for this build. For this one, I fought a weird mishmash of linear rifle, vertical plasma launcher, soup, and laser lance. He started off pretty aggressively. I fired my missiles right after I see him get off the crater, and he responds by firing back both the vertical plasma and soup. Tried to close in the distance so the soup missiles would miss me. He charges with the lance and I responded with the dagger. We didn't get staggered, so we exchanged charged rifle shots after that. We clashed again, but I launched my missile first before we began. So he ended up staggered after this, and I managed to get some pot shots here. He's pretty low on AP and he knows he won't win at range, so he rushes in with his lance. The missiles caught up, and I'm pretty sure he would have died from it, though I wanted to make sure he's dead, so I popped my assault armor. Next round is a pretty quick one. We both started off pretty aggressively again, both of us launching our back weapons. He got in his charged lance attack and I tried to chase him down with my dagger, but I missed. Anyway, we clashed again immediately after our shoulder weapons cooled down. Another charged lance attack from him, but this time I responded with my assault armor plus a fully charged laser shot. Boom! 4-5 damage to the face. The missiles caught up and chipped him down to almost 0 AP, though he managed to pop his pulse armor. I wanted to exert my dominance here, so I ended him with my dagger.